Have you ever gotten that feeling where someone seems to be giving you signals? Signals so quiet and easy to miss that you almost second-guess yourself, yet something keeps nagging at you that there's something more going on. Now add this to the picture. That person is a married woman. Pretty intriguing, isn't it? Welcome to today's video where we're getting into a subject that is just as fascinating as it is complicated. The signs that a married woman is into you, but working hard to keep it hidden. Before anything else, let's make one thing absolutely clear. None of this is meant to push anyone toward crossing lines or showing zero respect for someone else's commitment. This is purely about understanding how people behave and learning to pick up on the cues they sometimes put out without even being aware of it. Once you know what you're actually looking at, you'll start seeing relationships and human interactions from a completely different angle. In this video, we're going to walk through the under-the-radar signals a married woman might give off when she finds herself attracted to someone outside her marriage. We'll break down the psychology driving these behaviors and help you figure out the difference between plain old friendliness and something that feels a lot more deliberate. If that's something you find genuinely useful, hit subscribe right now and stay with me all the way to the end. Because the final section of this video contains the most important insight of all, and it's the one most people completely skip over. Let's get into it. 1. What to actually do, respect, ethics, and your own role. Before we decode her behavior, you need to hear the most important truth in this entire video first. Because understanding the signs is only half the picture. What you do with that understanding is what actually defines you. No matter how loud the signals get, this person is married. Her marriage is a real commitment. And stepping over that line carries consequences that go far beyond what either of you might be thinking about in the moment. The philosopher Immanuel Kant wrote, "Act only according to that maxim, whereby you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law." In other words, before you act, ask yourself, what kind of world would exist if everyone in your position made the same choice? That question cuts through the fog of in-the-moment emotion faster than anything else. Take a breath and zoom out. Is chasing this connection genuinely worth the damage it could do to her, to the people around her, and to yourself? Respect for her boundaries and for the reality of her marriage is not something up for negotiation. Beyond that, get honest about the ethical side of it. Ask yourself whether any of this actually lines up with who you are and what you stand for. It's easy to get swept up in a moment, but thinking long-term is what separates a passing feeling from a real decision. You also need to take an honest look at your own role in the dynamic. Are you, even unintentionally, giving her signals back? Sometimes something as innocent as a smile or a throwaway compliment gets read as more than it was meant to be. Reflect honestly. Are you setting the right tone? Or could something you're doing be adding fuel to the situation? If there's a chance you've been contributing to it, pull back. Not in a harsh or cold way, but gracefully. Ease up on the one-on-one time. Dial back the overly personal conversations. Establish clear boundaries in a way that's kind but leaves no room for misinterpretation. By holding respect for her boundaries, being honest about your own part in things, and standing firm in your own values, you can move through this whole situation with both integrity and grace. Your choices in moments like these matter just as much as hers. With that foundation in place, let's now understand the psychology driving her behavior. Because before you can handle this situation with wisdom, you need to understand exactly what's happening inside her. 2. Mixed signals, the internal war she's fighting. Have you ever been in a situation where someone's attitude toward you feels completely unpredictable, totally warm and open one day, then oddly cold and distant the very next? That's what mixed signals look like up close. And it's one of the most textbook signs of someone who is battling emotions they're desperately trying to suppress. When a married woman has feelings for you, but is committed to keeping them under wraps, you might notice her being light and engaging and playful one moment, then pulling back entirely the next. One day she's laughing at everything you say and finding reasons to start conversations. The next day, she can barely make eye contact with you. The psychologist Festinger, who developed cognitive dissonance theory, wrote, "A man with a conviction is a hard man to change." She holds two conflicting convictions simultaneously, her attraction to you and her commitment to her marriage. That internal contradiction is exactly what produces the inconsistency you're witnessing. She is not confused about you. She is conflicted about herself. These back and forth shifts almost always come from an internal war she's fighting. Part of her is genuinely drawn to you. The other part is being held in check by guilt or by the fear of being found out. This behavioral pattern also shifts based on who's around. When it's just the two of you, she might be relaxed and completely herself. The second anyone else steps into the frame, she goes distant or even noticeably awkward. These mixed signals are her attempt to hold her emotions in balance while keeping everything that's happening inside her hidden from view. The most important thing to understand about her inconsistency is that it isn't random or meaningless. It's her protective mechanism at work, even while she's still trying to navigate whatever it is she feels when she's with you. And on top of all that, no matter how many signals are stacking up, she will almost certainly never directly acknowledge what she's feeling. The reason is straightforward. Actually saying it makes it real. It crosses a line she's not ready or willing to step over. If you ever bring it up directly, she'll probably deflect, laugh it off, or flat out deny it. Mixed signals reveal the conflict. But before the conflict even surfaces outwardly, there is a quieter, more deliberate behavior that gives the whole thing away. 3. The effort she makes just to be near you. When a married woman has feelings for you, but is doing everything she can to keep them buried, her actions will often end up betraying her intentions without her even realizing it. One of the most obvious signs is when she starts manufacturing reasons to end up in the same space as you. Maybe she starts showing up at meetings she would never normally bother attending. Or she somehow manages to walk past your area multiple times throughout the day. Or she starts inserting herself into group activities that you happen to be part of. These so-called coincidences are very rarely actually coincidental. They're low-key strategies to get physically closer to you, even when she's not ready to make any kind of direct move. The psychologist Robert Cialdini wrote, "The way to love anything is to realize that it might be lost." She is not yet ready to admit what she feels, but she is absolutely not ready to lose proximity to you either. Every engineered encounter is her way of holding on to something she can't yet name out loud. Another thing you might start noticing is a sudden and very convenient interest in the same things you're into. Say you're really into hiking and all of a sudden she's asking you for trail recommendations. Or maybe you're passionate about a particular book or show and out of nowhere she's reading it or bringing it up in conversation. This kind of newly discovered interest isn't really about curiosity. It's about building shared ground, creating a natural reason to bond without making her actual intentions obvious. If you start seeing these patterns repeat themselves, they're probably not just friendly gestures. They're most likely her way of staying close while trying to keep her feelings from completely taking over. The effort she makes to be near you is visible when you're alone. But her behavior changes dramatically the moment the environment changes, and that contrast tells you everything. 4. How she behaves differently in public versus private. Here's where it gets even more layered and complicated. When she's working to hide what she feels, you'll start picking up on some very specific hesitations and contradictions in how she behaves depending on who's watching. In group settings, she might suddenly seem way more reserved, or act as though you barely register on her radar. This isn't genuine indifference. It's usually a very deliberate choice to avoid drawing any attention to the dynamic between you two. She doesn't want anyone else in the room picking up on what she's feeling. So she overcorrects by creating distance to make sure nothing looks suspicious. And here's the irony. That avoidance can end up being just as revealing as the moments when she's openly engaging with you. Then there's the pattern of cutting conversations short the moment someone else enters the picture. Picture this. You two are talking. The energy between you feels easy and natural and real. Then someone else walks over, and almost instantly she becomes noticeably cooler or just abruptly wraps up the conversation and steps away. The psychologist Gottman wrote, "Every negative thing you do in your relationship is a withdrawal from what I call the emotional bank account." In public, she is making constant withdrawals from the connection between you, not because she wants to, but because maintaining that connection in front of others feels too costly. Her abrupt shutdowns are deposits into her self-protection account, not withdrawals from her feelings for you. What makes these hesitations so noticeable is the contrast they create. In private or one-on-one moments, she can be completely open, warm, and present. But in public, that dramatic shift in her whole demeanor reveals a tension she's clearly wrestling with. It's like she's trying to walk a tightrope between wanting to connect with you and needing to keep up the appearance of everything being completely normal. That contrast between public and private is one of the clearest indicators available. But it always shows up alongside something even more fundamental, the language her body speaks before her mind can stop it. 5. Body language. What her body reveals before her words. There's a reason people say actions speak louder than words. And that couldn't be more accurate when it comes to nonverbal communication. One of the most revealing signs is prolonged and repeated eye contact. If she's holding your gaze a beat longer than normal, or keeps glancing over at you from across the room, that's not something that happens by accident. Eye contact is one of the oldest and most deeply rooted signals of attraction that exists. When it stretches out, it's usually someone's way of building a connection without having to say a single word out loud. The catch is that she'll probably snap her eyes away fast the moment she realizes you've caught her looking. It's that back and forth glancing pattern that gives the whole thing away. The psychologist Mehrabian established in his research, the most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. Her body is communicating constantly, and it is communicating without her permission. Another thing to keep your eye on is subtle grooming behavior. Is she running her fingers through her hair, straightening out her clothing, or lightly touching her neck when you're nearby? These little gestures might look like nothing, but they're actually deeply psychological. Grooming like this is usually a subconscious reaction when someone wants to put their best foot forward in front of a person they're attracted to. It's essentially her way of saying notice me, without letting a single word leave her lips. Then there's how she carries herself around you. If she's leaning in while you're talking, turning her body to face you directly, or keeping her arms loose and open, it's a clear sign that she's comfortable and genuinely tuned into you. On the other hand, if her whole posture shifts dramatically the moment other people walk into the space, arms crossing, body stepping back, eyes drifting away, it could be a signal that she's actively working to keep her feelings from showing. Body language tends to be a game of contrast. What you want to watch for are the shifts and the changes. But body language is only one piece of the puzzle. The way she communicates with you tells just as much of the story, if not more.